Lesson 9.3, solving quadratic proportions. Same thing, and we have proportions, but quadratic means that something is squared, and so they're solved a little differently. So I'm going to cross multiply. 5x times x comes 5x squared, meaning I have x times x here equals 8 times 10 is 80. I want to isolate the x squared because that is the only term that has an x in it. So I'll divide it by 5. 80 divided by 5 is 16. I'll square root both sides because the opposite of squaring something is square rooting, so they cancel each other out. I'm left with x. We get positive and negative 4. Can't remember if they're going to want the negative version or not. Yes, they will, because they both work. Having 4 in there is going to make this positive and this positive. Having a negative 4 in there makes this negative and this negative. So you get two answers. You can put them in with the plus or minus sign, or you can write 4 and negative 4. It doesn't matter. And the reason why you're getting two answers is because this equation has two possible answers. 4 squared makes 16. Negative 4 squared, because a negative times a negative is also positive 16, they both check out. Both work. Okay, number 2. Multiply 5 times x plus 3 equals x times x plus 7. Distribute. You get 5x plus 15 equals x squared plus 7x. Okay, this one's different than number 1. I have multiple terms that have x in them. So in this case, I want to get it set equal to 0. I'm going to leave the x squared where it's at because I don't ever want that to be negative if I can help it. So I'm going to subtract the 5x and I'm going to subtract the 15. So I get 0 equals x squared. 7 minus 5 is plus 2x minus 15. Something multiplied to make this, but the problem is there's not a greatest common factor I can take out. But what happens is when you take a binomial times a binomial, 2 terms times 2 terms, you end up getting a trinomial like this. So that's called FOILing. First term times first term made this first term. So x times x made x squared. And then I'm going to jump the outer and the inner, and I'm going to go to last. Some last number times this number made negative 15. They're going to combine or add to make 2. And so I go over thinking my signs. If I'm multiplying to get a negative, one has to be a positive, one number has to be negative. My options are 1 times 15 or 3 and 5. 3 and 5 are the options, or is the right selection, but I need to know that the 5 should be the positive and the 3 the negative. So if I FOIL that real quick, I'd have x times x is x squared. Outers gets negative 3x. Inners gets positive 5x, and 5 times negative 3 makes negative 15. And see how these combine here? 5 minus 3 makes the 2. So those are my answers. Those are multiplication pieces that are set equal to 0. So to solve, you take each factor, because if this was 0, 0 times whatever this is would make 0. If this was 0, 0 times this would make 0. So we're just taking each piece, setting them equal to 0, and they're usually very easy to solve. I would just subtract 5 on each side, so x would equal negative 5. So that's one answer. Add 3 to 0, and x would equal positive 3. So it really just becomes the opposite sign of what your factor was. Okay, and then number 3. We got negative 6 times x minus 6 equals x times x minus 1. Negative 6x plus 36 equals x squared minus x. I don't know why I put that there. Okay. Then I want to get it all set equal to 0. So I'm going to add the 6x over. Again, x squared's here and I want to keep it there. Subtract the 36. So nothing is on this side. I set it equal to 0. X squared, negative 1 plus 6, or 6 minus 1 would be positive 5x minus 36. So again, the only way to factor this is thinking what FOILed, what 2 terms times 2 terms made this. So it has to start with x times x. We need to multiply to make negative 36, but add or technically subtract to make 5. If you get stuck, think of everything that multiplies to make 36. I start with 1. 1 times 36, 2 and 18. 3 times 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. And then I would have all these other ones again. So which ones are going to multiply to make a negative? That means one number is negative. We want more positive, so the smaller numbers would be negative. And they're going to subtract to make 5. That would be negative 4 and positive 9. And so then if I set each piece equal to 0, this answer, I would add 4 over, so it's 4. This one, I would subtract the 9 over, so it's negative 9. If you're struggling with the factoring stuff, you'll just have to let me know and ask questions.